Hi friends, welcome back to another Animal Crossing video. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a witch's study. So I know this room doesn't look like much right now, but just you wait because we are going to transform it into something much more magical. So let's take this old room from this to this. So if you want to see how to make this beautiful witch's study where we can practice our spells and magic making, then keep on watching. And before we get started, be sure to give this video a like and / or subscribe. And that's pretty much all I have to say about that. So without further ado, let's make our very own witch's study. Mwahahahaha. So here are some of the items that we are going to be using for this project, and these do not include the wall-mounted items that I will be using. I just decided to pull them out of storage because they would not fit in my inventory, but these are the items that I basically laid on the ground. So I have some antique furniture, some fossils, some log furniture, homework sets, and a bunch of stuff. So anything that screamed witchy or fairy tale vibes, I basically threw it in my inventory. And yes, I did arrange everything alphabetically, and it took far longer than I would like to admit, but I threw in my wallpaper and my flooring at the very end, and those are the only two that are not alphabetical, and that's just because I was too lazy to go in and rearrange it and make it alphabetical. And these are just the items that I chose to use, but obviously feel free to use whatever you want or that you have at your disposal. And now we are ready to get started. So the first thing I'm doing is laying down my flooring and wallpaper, and I chose to use the ship deck flooring and stone wallpaper. And I thought this combination worked really nicely. It kind of gives off a hidden layer or cavern feel to it. And the next thing I'm doing is hanging my wall-mounted candles. So I just went ahead and inserted them into these stone archway things, and I thought it worked out really quite nicely. It definitely kind of looks like a hidden cave or lair or something like that. And so I'm just going ahead and adding them into pretty much every single stone arch except for one, so that I can have room to put my bookshelf back there. And so far so good, but at this point I decided the walls needed a little something extra, so I decided to add a little bit of greenery. So I'm going ahead and adding some potted ivy in between the crevices of my stone archways, and I decided to customize my ivy to be red because I tend to think of Halloween and fall when I think of witches, so I figured some autumn tones were appropriate, so I'm going ahead and just adding some red ivy all around the borders of my walls. At this point, I'm pretty happy with the way the walls are looking. They still need a few more staple items, but we will get to those very shortly. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and add a tall lantern around the borders of my room. So as you can see, I am just fitting a tall lantern into each corner and really starting to feel the Harry Potter vibes now. Next up is our furniture. So I am just spastically shuffling through my inventory, deciding what I want to add. And at this point, I am adding the library-esque elements of the witch's study, and we will get to the spells and lab and potion making stuff very soon. But for the right side of the room, I basically dedicated to our study purposes. So as you can see, I added a brown shaggy rug in addition to some antique furniture, and because we are constantly studying spells and magic, I added some scattered papers as well. Basically, my general rule of thumb for this section of the room was anything that screamed Hogwarts. On top of our our antique table, I'm adding a stack of books in addition to some wedding candles and a homework set. And then over by our parrot, I had to add a hamster cage as well because I felt we needed to have our witchy companions right at our side while we study. Now that we have our antique furniture all laid out, I decided to add some log decorative shelves on the far right side of the room, and as you can see, after a little bit of indecisiveness, I opted for putting it a little bit more towards the first lantern, and on top of that I added a fossil, and I was going to attempt to pronounce the name, but I just won't even bother butchering that today. And then of course I added a crescent moon chair for us to lounge every now and then. And because my philosophy is the more plants the merrier, I decided to add a monstera over by the tall lantern, and at this point I'm switching back over to the wall to add some wall decorative items. So I'm adding a wooden deer's head just above the wooden bookshelf, and on the far right wall I'm adding a hanging terrarium as well. I also added a tree branch wreath, and because we are witches, we of course need our broom at our disposal, whether or not that's for cleaning or for flying over our house. And then finally, I'm also adding a coconut wall planter. And at this point, I'm just maneuvering things around to my liking, and of course adding a ladder and a wooden stool so that we can reach the books on the higher shelves. And this is the far right side of the room completed. Yay! And now that we have a side of the room where we can study and write out new spells, we of course need to have a side where we actually experiment and practice our magic. And for the left side of the room, I definitely had to get a little bit more creative with my items. So for the main item I used in the center of the left side of the room, I used a kettle bathtub to act as a vat that we could use to throw in all of our herbs and potions. And then on the far left side of the room, I'm also adding a clay furnace. And I really liked these items here because I felt they definitely added the effect that we were cooking something up. Against the back wall, I'm adding a log bench, and on top of that, a lab experiment set. And then I'm also adding a pot next to that as well. And then next to the clay furnace, I'm adding a stone stool with a hyacinth lamp on top, and I decided to customize it to be purple to match the crescent moon chair on the right side. And because I am a witch with a green thumb, I decided to add a few more plants, so I added a cacao tree in addition to an anthurium plant, and because we need to water our plants, I added a wooden watering can as well. And at this point, I decided to add some custom designs on my floor, and I will have the creator IDs linked down below so that you can check out all of their awesome designs. But I really liked adding some leaves and some sprouts on my floors because I felt they added so much personality, and I'm just going ahead and maneuvering those around the room to my liking. Obviously, you are more than welcome to stop here, but I felt that the walls still needed a few more decorative items, so I decided to add some floral swag to act as herbs that we can use in our spells, and because I have a hanging terrarium obsession, I'm adding a few more hanging terrariums in addition to a coconut wall planter. Here is the final reveal. It turned out so good. It looks like the perfect little room to hang out in and to make some witchy concoctions and to study all of our spells and magic. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video and that you drew some inspiration as we approach fall and October, and that you decide to make your own witches study. If you do, please tag me. I would love to see all of your posts. All of my social media handles will be linked down below. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to give it a like and / or subscribe. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!